Welcome. You are listening to the Louie Minor Show. I'm your host, Commissioner Louie Minor. Today is September 10th, 2023. We have a lot to get through, so let's get started. I'd like to begin the show with a moment of silence in honor of Patriots Day, September 11th, 2023. As we go into this moment of silence, let's just think about all the lives lost, sacrifices made since September 11th, 2001. Thank you. Now let's begin the show as we always do with the agenda for the Commissioners Court meeting on September 11th, 2023, beginning at 9 a.m. We have the invocation, Pledge of Allegiance, the consent agenda. We have consider the approval of the minutes for September 5th, 2023. Budget amendments, claims, accounts payable, payroll, restitution, jury pay. Then we have consider approval of the Bell County investment policy for September 2023 and consider approval of grant management policy on the consent agenda. Then we have county engineer, consider and approve the final plat of Sunset Acres, replat number 1, being 2.457 acres, 2-lot, 1-block subdivision located in the City of Temple's ETJ, Bell County Precinct 3. Consider approval of renaming Bell County Sportsman's Club Road to Fairview Road, located within Bell County Precinct 1. And then we have C, consider approval of the acceptance of all roads for maintenance within the Wildflower Farms located in Bell County Precinct 3. 5, consider and take appropriate action for order restricting outdoor burning, the burn ban, and that is it. Then we go to the workshop for that day. We have a staff workshop in the morning, reports from various county offices and departments, capital improvement project updates, jail expansion, museum archives building, Killeen Annex, and FY 2023 CIP plan. Then we're going to discuss Arbor of Hope board appointments. That'll be in the morning. Then in the afternoon, we'll get a briefing from Billy White, Bell County Tax Appraisal District, on the Board of Directors selection changes. Then we're going to discuss the Bell County game room regulation, and then discuss justice of the peace boundaries. And then the final item in the afternoon is discuss the fire marshal position. And that is everything that we have scheduled for the workshop. So what I want to do real quick is just go over a recap of what happened last week. Like I said, we approved our budget, and I wanted to play our budget discussion during the meeting, and then we'll come back and go into a little bit more detail.
Item 12, consider approval and adoption of the FY 23-24 county budget.
Judge, I'll move to approve and the approval and adoption of the FY 2023-2024 Bell County budget with an amendment to move the fire marshal's office from the sheriff's department to its own department.
Second. Okay, motion's made by Commissioner Minor, seconded by Commissioner Whitson. I don't.
I got a question. I mean, so you're gonna, if that's a no, isn't that a separate topic to talk about the fire marshal? It's, therefore if that's not what we feel, you reject the entire budget?
No,
Money stays there.
you can still vote to approve the budget.
It's a budget neutral move.
I don't see any budget. There was no request to increase the amount or decrease the amount.
Okay.
My only question is, again, since there's no impact on the budget numbers that are in the budget.
I figure that's separate.
I mean, I guess you can.
You can load it that way, how you want to do it. It's a separate item, but.
Can you do that? I mean, if the fire marshal goes back to his separate office, does he not need furniture? Does he not need computers? Does he not need what he needs to have an office of his own that is not funded right now?
I thought we
We already
had
had that. We just moved to the sheriff's department. We're doing it back to office.
it should be in the budget.
Okay.
Again,
His office moved from the other office.
Okay.
but again, all of that should still exist. Again, we haven't.
I think there's quite a bit more that we were going to talk about during that, and so, okay, gotcha.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve and adopt the FY 2023-2024 county budget with, I guess, organizational change to relocate the fire marshal's office from the sheriff's office and reporting back to the commissioner's court. Is that okay?
We're going to do amendments. I'd like to make a motion that we word it that way and also remove the contingent mid-year raise and corresponding tax rate increase.
So not only are we going to.
Yeah, hang on just a second. Let's,
Make an amendment to the motion.
all right, you want to, just point of clarification, you want to include that with the amendment that's on, amend the amendment.
Well,
There's no amendment.
like you said, it's
There's a motion to amend
There's a
exactly
motion with the amendment to the budget
Right.
In a second.
and a
in
second.
a second. That's not an amendment, and now Bill wants to amend the motion.
Which motion?
The other one that's been made.
The one we have to deal with is the one that's on the table right now that has a second. That's the one I got to deal with
So we're
first.
going to vote on that first?
No, he can amend that
You can
motion.
amend it.
That's what I'm asking.
You just did.
That's what I'm asking. To include, you took the motion to amend that we have, and you want to bundle that with remove the 1.3 million for mid-year compensation adjustments.
well, that will affect how I vote on the tax rate.
But I'm just saying, again, just trying to get clarification. You want to attach this second amendment, that amendment to the amended motion? Or do you want that handled separately?
If it would be better to handle it separately, let's do that.
It would be for me. It would be for
So I
me.
shouldn't second that amendment. Is that what you're saying?
It sounded like he withdrew that. My preference would be to deal with the amendment motion that we have on the table, and then anybody can make another motion on any topic relating to the budget. And let's deal with those separately. When we start stacking these, the opportunity for confusion gets really high. Okay, I have a motion and a second to adopt the proposed budget with an amendment to remove the fire marshal's office from the sheriff's office and move those, and collaterally move those funds to the fire marshal as a standalone office that reports to the commissioner's court. Okay, everybody clear? That's the motion. And
Judge, I do have some, I guess, trying to get some clarification on what Commissioner Schuman is proposing. If we adopt the first motion, we adopt the budget, and that budget has that 1.3, almost 1.4 million in there. So I think we need to include that somehow.
This motion, if it passes,
Approves the budget.
I see what you're saying. That would include the 1.3, which is not what you are proposing. You're right. So I apologize.
Yeah.
So I'll let you restate.
Sorry.
Welcome back, Shelley.
You could just redo your motion to include both of them.
I don't think he wants to.
That's nice.
I'm trying to figure out how I would state it.
You're the senior commissioner.
See, I would like to split it too, because again, having both of those in the motion, I can't support it.
Okay, well, again, if the amendment fails, then we have not adopted a budget.
Well, but if you have adopted a budget, I don't have the opportunity to amend that budget or have a vote on the budget.
Well,
Can
we can,
I amend?
no, you can amend, we can amend the budget anytime, can we not? Tina, look at you.
We do it all the time.
The tax rate's a little different, but
Maybe a opportunity to amend the budget after you adopt the tax rate with item 14, which is ratification of the budget. And so I've done no research on this, but it's possible that you could make an amendment through that. Not if it goes down.
No, not to decrease it.
not going to, if we were increasing it, I 100% agree, but if we're decreasing the budget, it does not require additional notices.
Correct.
Or public hearings. All right, so what, I thought I was there for a minute, and now I'm not sure where we are.
I'm okay with.
But I do think, I agree with the auditor that I think there is another opportunity to amend the budget. Plus, we certainly amend the budget throughout the course of the year. So, and the only notices that are required to amend the budget once it's adopted is the open meetings requirements, the 72 hours. So, and I don't know how many times we amended the budget over this course of this past year, but it was several, as do other entities in the county. All right, so the motion that I have on the table at the moment, I think, is to amend, to approve, adopt the budget with an amendment to relocate the fire marshal's office, return those funds, and position reporting to the commissioner's court. You okay with that? I mean, not okay, I mean. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, no further comments or questions? All those in favor of the amended motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
And I join the nays. So that motion fails 3-2. All right, so we still need a motion to approve and adopt the budget.
That we amend the motion to approve and adopt the budget to include a $1.388620 decrease to fund the placeholder for mid-year fiscal year 23-24 pay raises.
Okay. I have a motion to approve and adopt the budget, but to exclude the 1.3 and some change million to fund mid-year pay adjustments. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Whitson. Discussion on this item.
Just to be clear, we're taking that money out. After the payroll study is done and we get to the middle of the year and we find that we have money available, we have all the right and responsibility to change that decision and fund maybe 700,000 is all it takes. Maybe $1.8 million is what it takes, and we can
Exactly.
so we can still have that discussion exactly like we did this
The
year.
converse of that, if it's not there, we're not prepared to do anything for a salary study that we spent a lot of money on.
And it's because
We're
we
not
don't have
prepared.
the money to do it.
Well,
And we'll have to
Also-
do it next year.
We'll also know what the financial environment of the country will be in. Mid-year next year, we may not be able to do anything next fiscal year either.
That's true.
And so to fund something mid-year, knowing that you're going to struggle to meet that obligation in the next fiscal year would be irresponsible.
Yep. And that being the case, we just took $1.3 million too much from the county taxpayer.
That's right.
I would agree with that if we didn't do a study until we knew we could afford something.
Well, we got to have.
It doesn't make sense to do the study if you don't have the money to do it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, but I think we'll have the money, just like we had the money this
Well,
year,
I think.
Okay? But again, we need the study to find out what we need to do. Because we may in fact go back to the taxpayers next fiscal year and say, we need to raise your taxes because of this study.
Any further comments or questions?
I just want the employees of Bell County to hear what's going on right now. We have commissioners thinking of not increasing salaries. We know what's going on. We know that we're behind. I'm getting word that some of the deputies are not happy with the increases that we gave to the jailers. We knew that was going to happen. We lost our fire marshal to Harker Heights because we're not being competitive. We know that's the case. We know we're going to have to increase funds, salaries, and without having that dedicated money there, we're going to have to get it from our fund balance. But you're saying that you probably won't even do that. That's a decision that you're going to have to look to later on.
Commissioner,
I'm not done.
we did not say at all that we were not going to give
That's
people
exactly
raises.
what you said you were
No.
going to do. You said that if market conditions changes, if the economy changes, that
If in 6 months into fiscal year 24, the country is in a severe recession, I don't think that we're going to be discussing giving significant pay raises to anybody,
exactly making my point.
Whether we earmarked it or not.
whether we've earmarked it or not. I mean, the reason that we did what we did this past year is because we recognized that there were segments of our workforce that were behind. We did that. We did not significantly increase the budget, and I believe we can do the same thing next year. Now, if you construe that as not giving them a raise, that's fine. But my point is I believe we can do the same thing next year that we did this year.
We have given significant raises over the last several years. Due to that last pay study we did, we gave in effect, we gave a 1.7% increase on top of cost of living raise this year with our new merit pay plan. In years past, we have not done that. We gave, out of an entire department, we might have gave 10% of the employees another step, which is 1.7%. We have allocated 100% of that department's current salary at 1.7%. For that department head to allocate as they see fit for merit base. So we've actually allocated more money towards employee pay this year than we have since I've been here for this, my 5th year now. So it's not that we're not paying our employees, not that we don't want to pay our employees. It's just that if we get to a point mid-year next year, salary study says we're way short. And I believe in some of the positions we have, we're way short. I don't think we are in jailers anymore. I think we went above and beyond what jailers needed to be paid in order to make sure we staffed this new jail because we had to. But not every department is going to need that. The ones that do, I think we are going to do everything we can, and we have in the past, to get everybody up to market. And we'll continue to do that. But I had a problem 5 years ago. My first year here, we did exactly this. We earmarked $1.7 million because we hadn't done a pay study in 20 years. And we knew we were so far behind that we were going to spend approximately $1.5 million. I didn't like that then. I voted against that then. By the middle of the year, we had a whole lot more money than that 1.7. We used that, but we still put money in reserve that year. I don't think it's prudent for us as commissioners. And when they talk about me earning my pay, my reason that I'm here is to balance budgets and make sure our finances are lean and earn whatever keep I get to make sure that I don't take any more money out of taxpayers' pocket than I absolutely have to provide them the services they want, which is why I'm adamant about the fire marshal's position. There's some things I'm fine paying for, some things I'm not. We all make those decisions here. But to take $1.3 million now, not know if we're even going to need it or not in 6 months, I wouldn't want somebody to do that in my household. I wouldn't do it in my own business. So I don't think it's prudent to do here. I do believe, however, because of prudent practices by every employee we've got in this county, and they're all sitting here, look at all these department heads, they work really hard every day to make sure they don't spend anything they don't have to. And by mid-year, every year for 5 years since I've been here, we've managed efficiencies because we keep asking you guys to manage efficiencies and y'all are good at it. And we've managed to have a little bit of money we can squeeze here and there to make those payroll adjustments. And we have. Almost every year I've been here at mid-year, made major adjustments to some department or another. And I expect we'll do that same thing. If the money's not there, then here's the problem. If we take that 1.3 million this year and put it in the budget, then, and we use that money to pay everybody, we got to pay it again the following year with cost of living increases, plus whatever else we need, whoever else says they need more money. And we're getting to a point then where it potentially becomes unsustainable. If the money is there and it's sustainable, we're going to pay our employees whatever we can to make sure that we keep the best employees. And we just put a new incentive pay program in place, which is richer than anything we've ever done in order to maintain the best employees that we've got here. So I think that's a good plan. I want to see if that works. And I don't want to take 1.3 million out of a taxpayer's pocket right now, not knowing if we're even going to need it or not.
Any other, excuse me, any other comments? All right, the motion.
Let it be clear, whether we take it now or take it later, it's still out of the taxpayer's pocket.
That's right.
Because it's sitting there with 5 or 6 months or 4 months, whatever. So that's already been collected by the taxpayer. So one way or the other, it's going to become from the taxpayer.
It'll be 1.3 million less if we don't do it now.
Not necessarily, but because you take it out of general fund, you will still have to take it out next year.
If we take it out of taxes. I mean, I have to.
Well, that's the only way to do it now.
No, it's not.
It is. If you don't pass the tax rate now, we're going to get it. If it's not in the budget, we're going to get it.
If we achieve efficiencies, if we,
But we're going to get
if we,
it.
it comes
Out
out
of the
of
general fund.
Doesn't have to.
That's where it goes. So, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the disagreement is.
There's a difference between capital accounts and operating accounts. And general fund is a capital account, and I don't want to fund any operations out of the.
Well,
I mean, it's the same.
All our efficiencies go back into the general.
They do. That's right. I understand.
Vacancies, everything else go back into the general.
That's why
I
it's
understand,
4 or
but that's-
5 months.
Commissioner Snyder is correct. It will come out of the general fund, just like it did this year.
It will, but it won't decrease reserve.
That's right.
There's a difference in reserve versus operating.
Well, but it's all in the same fund.
I understand, but you can't sustain reductions in your reserve in operating
So
costs.
this budget that we were about to approve, all the elected officials and department heads requested a total of 119 additional people to help them with their duties. We only approved 19 of them. So we're expecting our employees to work harder. 100 and whatever more people that we were asking for, that the department heads were asking for, they're going to have to make up that work, continue. So, like I said, we're going to do a salary study and do what?
We'll talk about that in 6 months after salary study's done.
Okay.
So where are we at with this?
The motion.
Motion a second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt and approve, and adopt the budget minus $1,388,620, which is in the proposed budget as reserved for compensation study adjustments mid-year. And from my perspective, we're really just talking about methodology here. At the end of the day, the tax rate pays for all this stuff. Right. And the question is just which tax rate do you want it to pay for? I'd prefer, I tend to agree with Commissioner Minor in the sense that I don't think there's any doubt what this survey is going to show. We'll just get hard numbers when it comes in. And then if we have zero there, then we'll go into the reserve fund, which is what we did this year. And my critique on that is, I don't want to make that a practice. I don't think we should always be going into the reserve fund to pay for mid-year adjustments. I think that's bad policy. But it doesn't, at the end of the day, if we're going to do compensation studies, we need to take them seriously. And I just think we're going to be I feel pretty confident we'll take it seriously. We always have to look at what's happening outside of Bell County. And we'll continue to do that. But at any rate, that's the motion and second. Any more comments, questions? All right, all those in favor of adopting the budget as proposed with a decrease of one, or with the elimination of the reserve for the compensation study adjustments. All those in favor of that indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I may need hands because I couldn't see. All those in favor of that, if you raise your hand. Okay. All those opposed? The motion fails 3-2. I still need a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the budget as written today.
As proposed.
As proposed.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Minor. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? I'm going to count it. If I hear a no, I don't have a no, then it's an abstention. So 3 ayes, no no's, 2 abstentions. Oh, you were no. Sorry.
4-1 pass.
Oh, you were an aye. Oh, please not. I think the corrected vote now is four in favor. How many in favor of that motion? Raise your hand.
I got 5.
Oh, I didn't see.
If the majority of the Commissioners Court is going to support that, I'm going to go with them.
Gotcha.
Me too.
My apologies. I did not see the hand. Motion carries 5-0.
I just oppose the tax rate.
Okay. Stay tuned for part 2.
Senior Commissioner.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. We have now adopted, we ain't even close to halfway. We have now adopted the budget, and now we need to, item 13 is to consider, approve, and adoption of the Bell County tax rate and the FY 2023-2024 Bell County road and district tax rate. Do I have a motion on this item?
Judge, I move that the property tax rate of 31.25 cents be adopted, which is the no new revenue tax rate. This 2023-2024 tax rate includes Bell County's rate of 29.14 cents, which is comprised of 24.23 cents for maintenance operations and 4.91 cents for debt service. Bell County Road District's rate of 2.11 cents for a total tax rate of 31.25 cents per $100 assessed value.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion second. Second.
That's the proposed rate, correct?
Yes, sir.
I think I should change one of those on you.
Yeah. You start saying one census make a difference.
All right, any further? Oh, did you read the rest of it?
This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance operations than last year's tax rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 3.614% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $10.90 annually. You want that one?
Yeah, let me see that one for a second. Yeah, the motion, I have a motion second, so now discussion. The motion says I move the property tax rate to be 0.3125 be adopted, which is the no new revenue tax rate.
That's not correct.
That's not correct.
That is not correct. So what is the property tax rate being proposed is 29.219.
It's just the verbiage that's incorrect. I didn't catch that. It should be 3125, which is the proposed tax rate.
Which is the proposed tax rate.
Correct.
Okay.
Move to amend the motion.
Did you, yeah, I'll take that as just a correction. Is the second
Apologies.
also corrected? Agreeable? All right. So that is the motion. All right. Yeah, I can correct it. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, Court.
So there you have the adoption of our budget and the county tax rate. And as you could tell, there was a lot of confusion with the processes. I guess the amendment that I made to move the fire marshal's office through a wrench in their train of thought, at least the judge's train of thought. But even though that didn't pass, and that was the second time we talked about it, voted on it, it's going to be in our workshop on Monday. So it's a lot of confusion. Then the whole ordeal with them wanting to take away money that we're dedicating for the employees' mid-year salary increase after we do a salary study that we know is going to show that we're still underpaying people below market, below state average, county average, Texas Association of Counties averages to like counties. We know we're going to be behind still. So, like I said, it's trying to correct the years of the county underpaying, and it's finally came to where now we have to do it, or we're going to lose people, and we're going to have a lot of vacancies in the county because they could go somewhere else next door, a county next door, a city within Bell County, and get paid more for doing the same thing. So, anyways, yeah, we got that done. It was a long meeting last Monday, the budget meeting. It was my first one. I think we did a good job. All the commissioners working together, even though we disagreed on some of the items. The original budget that we all agreed to during the meeting, during the workshop, passed 5-0, and we'll move forward. I know what I'm planning to do, and I would hope the other commissioners and other elected officials are thinking the same way, is unless it is an emergency, and I guess that's going to be loosely defined, unless it's an emergency, I'm not going to approve any amendments. We have to plan properly the best we can of the needs that we're going to need for the next fiscal year, and budget for those and request those. But yeah, I definitely do not plan on supporting any amendments that are going to increase additional spending outside of what's already approved. And in turn, like I said, I'm not going to propose any that are going to increase or amend this year's the budget that we just approved for FY 23-24. So now I want to switch gears and talk about justice of the peace precinct lines. In today's paper, today's Sunday, Killeen Daily Herald, they have an article I did earlier, interview I did earlier in the week with the Killeen Daily Herald discussing this. So let me cue this up real quick, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail of why I think it's important that we address this population disparity and what we can do about it.
All right, good afternoon, folks. This is Thad Immerman with the Killeen Daily Herald. I'm here with Louie Minor, Commissioner for Bell County Commissioners Court Precinct 4 here in primarily the Killeen area. And so Louie's going to talk to us about something that he's going to propose to the Commissioner's Court in an upcoming meeting. So Louis, just go ahead and take it away.
Right, yeah, no, since I got elected and came into office January of this year, there's been talk about the Justice of the Peace lines and constable lines. The issue was not addressed after the redistricting in 2021 when they had an opportunity to do it, and the Commissioner's Court at the time said that they would address it at a later date. So I think that later date is here, and the citizens of Bell County need to understand, of Killeen, Harker Heights, and Nullville need to understand what we're really doing here in the county. I think a lot of people really don't know what the makeup of, by makeup I mean the population of each precinct for JPs, and the disparity of that and workload of that among all the JPs.
And the delay with the redistricting of the JP and the constable lines was due to the census being delayed because of COVID, as
Correct.
well as timing issues with having to get the election done in the next election year. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. Yeah, so COVID obviously delayed the census a little bit, and that had a trickle down. You know, we had to wait for the state to do some of its stuff, and then by the time I got to the Commissioner's Court, I think there was only enough time to do the precinct lines and the Commissioner Court lines, Commissioner's lines at the time.
Okay, and we were talking before, and Louis, you were showing me some pretty shocking numbers as far as population with the JP precincts currently. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the current JP maps, if I guess if you're watching this, you're interested in it. If you look at it, Precinct 1 in Bell County represents about 62,094. Precinct 2 JP represents 13,491. Precinct 3 JP, which has two places, so there's two JPs in Precinct 3, represents 77,931. And Precinct 4 JP, which there are two places in Precinct 4, so they got two JPs, represents 216,513. So there's obviously a disparity there in our JPs. So what can we do about that, you ask?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
What can we do about that disparity? As a member of the Commissioner's Court, we have a responsibility to look at the convenience of, that's one of the things, one of the criteria is convenience to the population for our Justice of the Peace. So what I'm going to be proposing is the creation of a Precinct 5 Justice of the Peace. So what we would do is the current JP Precinct 4, which represents 216,000 plus individuals, splitting that in half, creating a new JP precinct. But doing that would still make it larger than any of the other precincts in the county. So we would need 2 additional JPs and a new constable and a courtroom building annex for that JP office.
And you've been crunching some numbers based on the current costs of operational costs for the current JP offices and things like that. Just what have you budgeted so far based on current costs, and also what would that breakdown look like population wise, at least the way you've initially broken it down?
Right. So, like I said, there's a lot of things that affect this. These numbers were current as of the census, but if we create a new Precinct 5, that would represent roughly 122,000 plus people. We're about to build, we're in the design phase now for the new Killeen Annex in Precinct 4, that's going to run, 10 million plus. So not knowing exactly when we're going to build out a possible new annex, I'm budgeting probably about 15 million for a new annex, because it may be a couple of years before we get to that. But that, we will need new JPs, salaries and staff, operational costs, and a new constable operational cost. And I mean, starting from scratch, so they're going to need furniture, all that new equipment. So there'll definitely be, a lot of startup costs to do that. But, it's a level of service. We, sitting on the Commissioner Court, that's what I hear all the time from the other members. It's a level of service. It's a level of service issue. We don't want to spend money because that's only a level of service issue. But the residents of Killeen, Harker Heights, and Nolanville are getting a lower level of service than the rest of the county is getting, in my opinion, for JP service. I'm not saying that the JP4 JPs, they've been handling the workload. They've been handling it since 2010, as far as I could tell, the workload. But it's not fair, it's not equitable here in the county that we have one JP and one constable representing just 13,000, servicing 13,000 people, and we got a JP and a constable, two JPs and a constable representing and servicing over 216,000 people.
Right. And what's the process going to look like from introduction to the Commissioner's Court to seeing this out until the end? What might this look like process-wise?
Well, I think a lot of it is going to hinge on citizen participation. What do citizens expect from their JPs, from their constables, and from their commissioners? Is it appropriate to go and file, for a small claims, and you get a court date months down the road, versus getting it fairly quickly? What level of service do we want here on the west side of the county? To me, it seems like we're subsidizing the east side of the county. I'm only proposing that we get the same level of service that the east side of the county has. So to me, it's a no-brainer that's what citizens would expect here as taxpayers. That's what I expect.
And some residents may ask, well, what gives the county the authority to do this?
Yeah, so the Constitution, the Texas Constitution gives us that authority to do that. We have up to, a county can have up to 8 precinct JPs. So we're at 4. And there's a lot of ways that we can do this. I understand that. I'm not opposed to anything, but this is my proposal that I'm setting forth before the people for consideration.
Okay. And now you had also mentioned earlier in our conversation before here on camera that you mentioned something that the JP's court is the people's court. So kind of expand on that and just kind of finalize with why this is important again for the people and for the county.
Yeah, so for me, there's a lot of things that the JPs interact with in our daily lives that we may or may not know. Deaths, obviously is a big thing. They do death inquest. They do small claims court. Those are up to $20,000, and that's where one of the few courts that you could go to where you could sue someone and not have to pay for an attorney or anything like that. So they hear a lot of small claims, evictions. They do a lot of marriages. So it's truly multifaceted what our JPs do and constables do here in Bell County.
And just to finalize real quick, to wrap this up, you had mentioned that you have spoken to the current JPs and a retired JP for Precinct 4, and you said that they all agree that something needs to be done, but you said earlier what needs to happen is up to the Commissioner's Court. So there are other options that could happen. If you could just real quick explain that.
Yeah. Obviously, everyone's going to have an opinion on how to address this issue. This is my opinion, what I'm proposing. There's a lot of things, but something, you can't look at the numbers and say everything is fair. There's just no. If someone tells me that, then they're not looking at the numbers. But like I said, what I'm asking for, and what the citizens should be demanding, is to have fairness and equity here on the west side of the county.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you coming in, Louie, and talking about that, and you keep us up to date on how the conversations at the Commissioner's Court go.
All right, thank you. And all I ask is for the people to get engaged with your county commissioners and let them know how you feel about this issue and give us your opinion.
All right. Thank you so much, Louie.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to thank the Killeen Daily Herald for that interview, getting the word out, the YouTube interview, and then we were on the front page of the paper today. So I think that'll bring a lot of awareness of the justice of the peace precincts, and just to go over it again, because it is very, very what is the word, obvious of the population disparity. The current precinct 1, which is Belton, Morgan's Point, North Temple of the county. That JP, there's one justice of the peace there, represents 62,094 people. The precinct 2 county commissioner represents 13,491, and that's primarily Salado, Holland, and Bartlett. The precinct 3 county commissioner, county justice of the peace represents, and there's two, represents 77,931. And the justice of the peace precinct 4, both of those JPs represent 216,513. So a lot of people. And like I said, what I'm proposing is that we have the same level of service as the rest of the county, because we don't right now. Is that going to cost money? Yes, it will cost money. It will cost taxpayer dollars to do this. We're maxed out on what we can do in Precinct 4. We cannot add any more justices of the peace, because the Constitution only allows for 2 places in each precinct. So what other option do we have? So the option that I'm proposing is, and I need you to understand that the justice of the peace precincts are not the same as the commissioner precincts. The commissioner precinct lines are fairly equal, fairly balanced. All of them are over 90,000 plus people. Precinct 4 having the largest population, and it's the smallest land mass. Precinct 4, County Commissioner Precinct 4, it's like 94,000 people. And the other 2 JP or 3 justice commissioners are 92,000, 93,000 each. So, I mean, we're all pretty much in line with representation, but that's not the same for the JPs. So what I'm proposing is to split precinct 5 or split precinct 4 and adding a precinct 5. I would keep precinct 4 as is to all those precincts. I would keep them as is. And then all the additional precincts that are in the current precinct 4, those would be separate. So, and what do I mean by that? So, the precinct 4 JP would have 94,437 people that they would represent. And that's all of the precinct 4 precincts. And then we would make the following precincts precinct 5s, because these are in the current 4. You have precinct 106, 109, 110, 111, 114, 116, 117, 201, 202, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210, 211, 12, 14, 15, and 216. All those precincts would be the new precinct 5, and that would be 122,076 people that would be comprised of that new precinct 5. Like I said, this is only my proposal. We got to start somewhere. The next obvious thing to start would, outside of a precinct 5, would be to align all of the JPs with all the commissioners. But if we do that, we're going to have to add another place in at least precinct 2 at a minimum. And doing that, we would still need a building for them to conduct business, to conduct court. So, yeah, like I said, I think those are the two most reasonable options. If the Commissioner's Court has been happy and content with the level of service that the JPs have now, that they do now, my precinct 5 proposal is not messing with any of the other JP's lines. Those lines stay the same. Their responsibilities are the same. It's not messing with them. There's no say, I guess, that we're not adjusting their lines, duties, or responsibilities. So I guess they would not need to object to anything. What we're doing is we're splitting precinct 4 JP. We could do it in half, or just keep it clean and do the 4 and the 5 separate. But that'll be a decision that the Commissioner's Court has to make, hopefully with a lot of citizen participation. We have the time to do it. It's not like we're in a rush to make a decision. At a minimum, I wouldn't do anything until we start going through the budget, and then we could start looking at adding these positions. So we have 1 year, in my opinion, to seriously address this issue. I really want the court to make a good faith effort into making a plan, a decision of what to do, and then an implementation process. And if it takes a whole decade to do it, that's okay. because I understand it's a big investment for the county, but we need to move forward, and we need to plan for this, and it needs to happen as soon as possible. The people deserve it, and the county deserves it. Well, we're, like I said, west side of the county. Always seems like our issues get addressed last. And I can show you time after time where that has happened. So we definitely need advocates for the west side of the county, Killeen, Harker Heights, and Nolanville on why this is important. So get involved. Like I said, we're going to be in the Commissioner's Court tomorrow discussing this for the first time in the afternoon, beginning at 1:30. So if you have time, if you're available to come out, but if not, call your county judge, call your commissioners, email them, email us. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinion. Should we do this? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. But just from being equitable, fair, and sustainable, I think that we have to do something. And I think after you look at the caseloads and look at the death inquest and the magistration numbers, that you will see that the commissioners need to do something. Like I said, this is decades in the making. This didn't happen over 2 or 3 decades. I think one of the JPs that I spoke to, retired Judge Cook, said that ever since he can remember, the lines have been this way. So yeah, you don't get to representing 216,000 people plus overnight. That it just doesn't happen. It takes decades for this to happen. And I'm not expecting it to get corrected in a year or two's time. Like I said, I know it's gonna be a long endeavor, but it's an endeavor that we need to start and seriously taking into consideration how to address this issue. So anyways, thank you for listening. Remember September 11th, Patriot Day, National Day of Service and Remembrance 2023. Do something to honor all those that we have lost. With that, we will talk to you next week.